why nobody in the hood. This is why nobody in the hood cares about politics.
Was that your laptop?
For real, I don't know.
I know, but you know
I really don't know.
Okay.
The answer is.
You don't know yes or no if the laptop
I don't have
was
any
yours.
idea.
Is that laptop yours?
You don't need the laptop. You got a book. You get the book. It's all in the book. And I don't know.
There could be a laptop out there that was stolen from me. There could be that I was hacked. It could be that it was Russian intelligence. It could be that it was stolen from me.
It's Macho.
And I'm Savery.
And you're watching.
And you're watching Winks for the Nobody. Join us. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a beat. Share us and hit that like button as we break down politics and culture Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All right, so there's a headline here, actually on Twitter.
I think Macho about to take us down memory lane, so y'all can tune into a past episode.
Cori Bush, I guess the representative, the Democrat representative Cori Bush out of Missouri, via Twitter says, we cannot ignore the fact that if Brittany Griner wasn't a black woman, it would be plastered across the news that she is being held as a political prisoner in Russia. What do you think of that?
So what we doing? We playing the same game now? We going full circle, doubling down on the narrative. I'm gonna call this the Jussie Smollet too. You're just doubling down now. You're just gonna double down on the same narrative.
But my whole thing is this is what we covered in our previous episode. We talked about this, that they're gonna pull the race card here. We knew this was gonna happen.
Bro, we sound like prophets right now. No, it's exactly what happened. Think about it. This is very prophetic. We said it, and unfortunately, it's the same thing. But we want to let y'all know, man. That's an update that Macho just gave us. But go back to our past episode. I think it's titled "Brittany Griner." Is Brittany Griner hostage? Right,
yeah,
something like that. But
Brittany Griner is a hostage or something like that. We have it.
Yeah, and I think we covered plenty there. You get a good update of what we covered. We gave you a quick new update now since we already covered that episode. But it's crazy. We called it. Same race narrative, same old agenda, same old cycle over and over again. And we seen it happen. There we go, man.
That's a fact. That's a fact. By the way, I got my Manhattan here. What you got?
Okay. I got my bourbon.
Ooh, you drinking it straight. No, nothing on the rocks for you. Look at you.
Yeah, a nice straight bourbon today. Why not? I said why not to myself. Why not?
Cheers, brother.
Oh, that's
all right, Savory. What are we drinking to today?
What we drinking to today? Good question. If you tuning in, this is the quick lineup. This is just a glimpse of the lineup for today. We got Fauci bringing back COVID measures, right? So I'm gonna leave it at that. We got Kevin Durant giving his 2 cents on Kyrie Irving. We got 2020 statistics on restaurants closing down. And then we're going to hit the Ukraine angle, Hunter Biden laptop. I'll leave it at that. Stay tuned for more because we probably got another topic after that we're covering as a sneak peek towards the end of this episode. Stay tuned. And I'm excited for today, man. There's a lot to cover, Macho. How you feel about today's topics, man?
I feel like we're gonna be moving. We're gonna be moving and grooving. But hey, that's what we do here. Drinks with a Nobody. We talk about culture and politics. So this is what we got to do. Let's dive right into that Kyrie Irving situation.
Shut the up. We've all been in the presence of that one person, either via television or at a party or just, somewhere in the world. And as soon as it does an eighth of a syllable can come out of their mouth. And our immediate response is, shut the up. Dr. Fauci, you are that dude for me. You are one of those people, every time I see your ugly little beady face pop up on a goddamn television set or on my laptop or on my phone, and I'm just like, oh my God, what the now? You are a liar. You are a flip-flopper. You have divided the American people along vaccinated and unvaccinated, among COVID supporters, non-COVID supporters, believers, non-believers, what to believe, shut down, don't shut down. You have divided the out of Americans so much that at this point, I don't know why anyone still listens to you. So I don't know what this rolling around here talking about you're advocating for more COVID restrictions or stronger COVID restrictions, I should say. Who doing that? You think after 2+ years of this shit, anybody's gonna sit here and say, yeah, let's shut our shit down again. Yeah, this makes sense. We don't give a Viruses will be here until the end of Earth. Viruses will be here long after man. The one thing in life we are promised is death. I don't live in fear. And I think most Americans are done living in fear. This is all a ploy because Ukraine is the main thing now and your ass has literally been pushed aside. Politicians don't give a about COVID right now. You had to just poke your little ugly face up somewhere and say, hey, I'm thinking about drinking a go. Get the out of here. Nobody listening to you, bro. In other news, the juice is loose. Jussie Smollet is sitting lovely at home. He gets to sit at home and play with his collection of butt plugs as his appeal is being processed. If that ain't rich privilege, I don't know what the fuck is. Cause you know my black ass will have a public defender. And she be looking at me like, we'll figure it out. But that narcissistic is keeping the lie alive and got his dumbass family standing there supporting him. There ain't a I'm related to I would stand that hard for. So either this is the best united front in history, or these Smollett is are dumber than I thought. Now on to our favorite crackhead, Hunter Biden. The fucking laptop has been verified. Now will anything come of it? Probably not. Why? Because his name is not Donald Trump Jr. So in conclusion, take those crusty masks off your face. I know you're tired of smelling your own breath. Oh, Juicy, now you know what it is when you really fuck with MAGA country. And Hunter Biden made his own crack.
Yeah, let's dive
Wilpon,
right into that.
I think I forgot his first name, Mr. Wilpon over here. He
stop playing with my name. I ain't gonna right on it.
Said on a news station, or I think it was on ESPN.
Kevin Durant is too aware and too plugged in to say something that impertinent.
He was responding to this, like Durant's words.
What's the point of that? Want some attention? You want to call out somebody? Call out your teammate.
He said something to the effect of this, Avery. I want to read this. This was his own words right here.
Tell him to get a shot. Because he's got plenty of them, because he could have gone to grade school in metropolitan New York without vaccines. I mean, all these guys want to be so irresponsible and not accountable enough to look at this dude and tell him, you want to play with us? Put a shot in your arm. The vaccine is not about attention. People died, hundreds of thousands of them, from this virus.
Me and Kyrie had conversations about the vaccine and what it meant to him, or meant to me. At the end of the day, I didn't think it was my decision on what he wanted to do with the vaccine. I gave him how I felt and about it, and we talked about it, but that's ultimately his decision.
So that sounds like he's all right. He's like, all right, you do what you got to do. But now he's saying what? He's mad at this decision, or what's happening? Because
Wilpon reamed into him, and then Kevin Durant came to his defense. Like, listen, all this is about is that, you know, the mayor of New York City is just seeking attention. Something that Durant said. He's like, the mayor of New York City is seeking attention, and that this is really stupid, that he shouldn't even be going through this. This whole thing is blown out of whack.
And you think the mayor of New York needs to attend to a basketball team's needs, your needs, before he needs to attend to the needs of a metropolitan area, the biggest in America? Are you kidding me? I mean, Kevin Durant, there's some knuckleheads who would say stuff like this. I'd probably let it go. Kevin Durant is too smart and too plugged in. Everybody wants to tell you how woke they are, and then I got to hear something like that. That's offensive.
Yeah. So I did see that, and then, you know, in that same press conference, Kevin Durant was kind of alluding to the confusion, right? So he said, he asked someone in the stands, he was like, wait, aren't people right now unvaccinated in the stands? So Kyrie Irving can now go in the stands because he bought a ticket as a fan, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. So he bought a ticket as a fan, sat in the front row. COVID mandates are lifted. Vaccine requirements are lifted. So he was like, all right, cool. He sat down, no mask on, chilling. You know, he's like, all right, I could do this now, but he can't play.
That doesn't make any sense.
He could give pounds, he could have conversation, but he can't play. Why? Because this goes to what? This is the confusion of his workplace is the arena, right? So he got the policy of you can't go to work without being vaccinated, right? Let me bring it back to the 9 to 5, to the regular people going to work. You can't go to work without a vaccine, right? But now, because it's a stadium, it's also a public arena where, hey, requirements are out the window when it comes to vaccines. So now he's stuck in the middle, and this COVID thing looks like very hypocritical, man.
Right, exactly.
This is exposing itself, bro.
This is all going back to the whole idea of, like, now there's a new variant. What would this mean for Kyrie? You know, Dr. Fauci came out and said that there's a new variant on the loose now, and that they may need to even go back to lockdowns. Like, Like, what do you think about that initially? Just your rapid reaction on that.
Oh man. All right. All right. You asked me, Macho. Here we go. Here we go. So now Fauci's coming back headstrong, right? Talking about, by the way, it seems like a lot of people are agreeing this might be behind us to a certain extent, right?
Of
But now
course.
Fauci comes up and sparks that fire again. Hey, we ain't done yet. Just in case, expect a uptick. Anything can happen. He's planting that seed again. And again, this is my thoughts here. I'm gonna put my cards on the table. Right now, I'm gonna put my cards straight on the table. This is what you call political talk. This is midterm elections. This is strategic talk. Because what do you mean by that? What the heck do you mean by that? Right? Because now is there signs that the new variant might get out of control here and all that. So they're painting an entire picture
Yeah.
that, quite frankly, I think makes no sense and is very manipulative, because they can always play this game and manipulate your job, and manipulate your family, manipulate where you go, manipulate how you act. And again, not to get too deep into it, but you know how my thoughts are around there. They manipulating the narrative once again. And I like that people like Kevin Durant are at least questioning. I like that people are standing strong, because again, I said it before, it's just a voice for the average person who got fired or is on the
Right.
verge of getting fired for not getting the vaccine. That's my thoughts.
And according to the ABC News, COVID cases will rise in the coming weeks due to a new BA.2 variant, experts predict. So this is all laid out, right? You have even the CDC expressing concern for this new variant. You have this whole idea of like 5 things to know about new COVID variant in Virginia and infection numbers. Like, this is definitely sparking or shaping up to be something big. There was something that you brought up in
That's crazy,
preparation.
man.
There's something that you brought up in preparation to this show. And you brought up something very specific, how the 2020 lockdowns affected the restaurant business in New York City. Do you want to
Oh
shed
man.
light about that quickly before we
Yeah.
pivot to the next topic?
So there is an article. I'm not sure from where, but we'll look for that. But I know there's a few sources that are verifying an estimated amount of about 100,000 restaurants closed
Yep.
down in 2020. By the way, a portion of these restaurants at the time were temporarily shut down. It was more than 100,000 that were temporarily shut down. So out of that whole batch of restaurants, now we have about 100,000 that are permanently shut down. Right? These are the effects that you have. These are the effects of a mandate forcing people to act a certain way, live in fear, and then these businesses are forced. Again, this is what nobody likes to talk about, right? This is what you call, I'm gonna tell you right now, a middle class hit, right? Remember, the engine of America is the middle class. So when you hear these statistics, everybody should be concerned, because
Yeah,
this is
it
a
says,
middle
check
class. It
this out.
affects everyone.
Check this out. Some of the key points that they mentioned in that article is more than 100,000 restaurants and bars have permanently closed due to the coronavirus pandemic. This is in 2020, according to the estimates from the National Restaurants Association. Chain restaurants, particularly those in the fast food sectors, are rebounding faster, right? The pandemic has altered consumer behavior, from how people order restaurant food to their like, I guess, perception of a third party delivery company. So delivery companies are booming, but how would they continue to boom if these restaurants close, right?
Yep, and that
How would they even go anywhere? So this
no, and
definitely
that's a
has
great
a ripple effect. And
yeah,
then
that's
they're
a great
talking
question to
about
ask.
lockdowns again. Come on.
No, I don't know what to think when people like Trevor Noah, going off what you're talking about right now, when people like Trevor Noah just kind of switch and you're like, all right, you're making sense, but you're 2 years too late, buddy.
Mayor Eric Adams has lifted the rule that you have to be vaccinated to attend indoor events. Okay, that's gone. But there is still a rule that you have to be vaccinated to go to your workplace. So if someone's job is at an indoor event, they can't go to work, but they can show up to work to watch their colleagues do their thing. I don't care like how COVID compliant you are. Shit like this makes zero sense. Can we agree on that?
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you know, think so. Like why now I'm starting to question, why are you saying this now, right? Because I think to myself, I'm like, all right, we got a situation now going on, and now over 2 years later, now you start questioning the restrictions. Now I'm curious to why, right? Because I'm the political manipulation, bro, and my skepticism is at an all-time high. It's high. The reason is because of both parties, bro. To be honest, it's both parties. It's both parties, especially the media. Most importantly, the media. But now, all in that to say what? Trevor Noah, right, is questioning these restrictions now, and he's confused by it. And he has a clip talking about the Kyrie Irving situation, and he's himself saying like, huh. But then it's hypocritical. Why? Because he has another clip in 2021, I think somewhere in 2021, supporting the mandate. So it's like so you push this forward, but now what? You're having second thoughts because you didn't think through what you thought. I don't know, man.
That's just how these people are. They get to shapeshift, Savory. That's how they do. They get to move around. No accountability. There's nothing for what comes out. What some of the things that come out of their mouths. It's ridiculous. So as we get to this pivot here, I want to talk about what's going on with this Hunter Biden laptop. Like, I really want to dive into that. Like, what do you think initially? Like, just your initial thoughts before we get into the specifics. What did you think about this whole Hunter Biden laptop?
My initial thought is 10 to the big guy.
Billions and 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 billions and
10 to the big guy. He says 10 to the big guy. Listen, I couldn't. This guy said 10 to the big guy, and then all of a sudden, nobody asks any questions who the big guy is, right? Like, could have been Barack Obama for all we know. But why doesn't anybody answer these questions? It just doesn't make any sense, Savory.
Which says 10% held by H for the big guy. That guy in a little coat. What's happening?
What do you think about that?
My man, this is not new. This is not new news. This is what you call news that was swept under the rug and is being resurrected like Jesus on the third day, bro.
No matter how many zeros are on the end of your check, I tell you what, there will still be a cross for you. I feel better, so much better, since I'm laying my burn down.
This is all that's happening. We're just resurrecting what we already knew. The facts are laid out, right? They were already laid out. The people who were really paying attention knew that they were laid out. But now, guess what? The Justice Department has verified the email.
Before we get there, though, Savory, so you see all the conservative media, right? Conservative media is saying that the New York Times has now confirmed, finally, after 17 months, that the laptop is actually credible. After 17 months.
I don't know. I truly... You don't know? The serious answer is that I truly do not know the answer to that.
Did you leave a laptop with a repairman in Wilmington?
Not that you remember. No. But whether or not somebody has my laptop, whether or not I was hacked, whether or not there exists a laptop at all, I truly don't know.
I want to look at this headline that they're talking about. I want to look at what the New York Times actually said. So check this out, Savory. The actual headline that pertains to the laptop in which the conservatives are even talking about is this headline. Check this out. Hunter Biden paid tax bill, but broad federal investigation continues. That's the headline that reveals that the laptop is credible. Where in that headline talks about the laptop? That is explosive stuff. The son of a
what you're
sitting
telling
president?
me is they're still actively sweeping it on the rug and kind of ignoring it.
Right.
Doing their best to still do that. Wow. Okay.
Right.
Again, we can't make this up.
Do you think this would have affected the way the 2020 elections would have went if people would have known that this was actually credible at the time?
That's a good question. I know we briefly spoke about this before. I would say yes to a certain extent. Would it overturn everything? You know how I feel about these kind of polls, right? There's a lot of people. I think you shed a light to a poll that I think 16%, right? And that number is rising now, possibly, that said, would it voted differently? But I'm wary about those polls because it's easy in hindsight to say you would have voted different, but even at the moment, you maybe would have had that information, still wouldn't have voted different, right? It's easy to say it when you're looking back. But I still believe a portion would have voted different. So it would have affected the numbers for sure. To the extent of overturning the election, I don't know, right? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But again, this was called Russian disinformation by Joe Biden on the debate stage, right?
So there's this guy. I think he's a social media guy. His name is the Liberal Redneck. Have you heard of him?
I'm not defending Hunter Biden or big tech here, but I'd like to meet these mythical swing voters who might have changed their minds based on this information. Like, oh, I can't possibly vote for Joe Biden now that I know his son is a shady fuck up.
Sounds familiar. Possibly.
Yeah. Well, basically, he just goes in. I'm talking about goes in on his video, talking about how, oh, now the conservatives are doing this and that, da 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 da, and now they actually think. And they said, listen, he literally says, despite knowing this, despite this even coming out, Savery, he still would have voted for anybody else but Trump.
Because I don't know about y'all, but I would have voted for Martin Sheen over Donald Trump. I don't give a fuck how crazy Charlie is.
Use your common sense.
You see? So that's my point there. And I like that he's being honest. There's many people because of the job. But check it out. Check it out, Macho. Let me break something of what you said down to the people, because I think you said something really important to push my point forward, right? This is great what you said. I think he's just being honest. And I like that, actually, right? It's crazy. It's crazy to us, right? Right? Is it crazy to you? It's crazy, right? It's crazy to us.
I'm bugged out. I'm bugged out. Like, how could, if you know all of this, how could you still say I would have voted for anybody else if the name wasn't Donald Trump? Like, that is crazy to me.
That shows honesty. You know why? Because there's many people, I believe, who feel like him, but if they're put on the spot 2 years later now, after the election, right? We're almost 2 years removed from it, right? You get put on the spot, you ask, hey, would you still vote for Biden? It's easy to say no because you don't want to look a certain way in front of the camera and people. You're like, nah. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, many people wouldn't change. Unfortunately, they would still vote the same because for them, it's not a big deal. They're not as involved.
That's real sad. And you know what? There was another person on social media, on their YouTube channel, was saying, you know, are you having buyer's remorse?
I wonder how many Biden voters are having buyer's remorse after the failings in Afghanistan, rampant inflation, skyrocketing gasoline prices, and incessant lies.
Apparently, a lot of people, he revealed in that clip that I'm going to roll here, is he reveals that there's a certain portion of people that, knowing this information, Savery, they would have voted a different way. They would have voted a different way.
And I believe that for
Like,
sure.
it's
It's a certain
crazy.
amount. Yeah, it's a certain amount for sure. And I agree with that 100%. You know, it's weary, right? Talking about what you said really quick, let me just say something on that. Like what he's saying, I'm not questioning that, right? Because I give people the benefit of the doubt, right?
In an admittedly small survey, was that 1 of every 6 Biden voters said they would not have voted for him had they known the facts about several of the news stories the national media refused to investigate thoroughly because they might have hurt his candidacy. Had 1 of 6 voters not voted for Biden in the swing states or voted for Trump instead, the election would have turned out differently.
If this wouldn't change or at least question, right, the person you're voting for in Biden.
The survey showed that 45.1% of Biden voters were unaware of the financial scandals of Biden's son, Hunter Biden, and how Hunter's business had been wrapped up in Biden's work in foreign affairs while vice president under President Barack Obama.
Then you have to reevaluate what's important to you. Because the question here, Macho, is this. Let me ask you this. Right. And you could keep going on the point of the people who would have voted differently. And I think it aligns together what I'm about to ask. But how serious is this? That's my question. Like, how serious? Like, give me a scale on 1 through 10. How much would it disqualify you for not running for president? Like, how serious is this in your opinion?
People keep saying the wrong things. They're saying, well, Hunter Biden is not president. Hunter Biden, you guys need to stop saying that, because you don't understand the magnitude of how bad this really is. Even the Democrats, it's been confirmed. Bill Barr, he was on Fox News, he was on other channels. He was talking about how the media, despite the fact that this was credible, the laptop was credible, despite the fact that it was credible, the media still went with the Russian disinformation.
Did you see what the left was doing with this disinformation campaign? Did you come out and say anything about that?
Absolutely. As soon as this letter came out from these so-called intelligence specialists, the DNI John Radcliffe at the time, and the FBI, which worked for me, both came out and said this was not the result of disinformation, Russian disinformation.
The New York Times has authenticated emails that appear to have come from a laptop abandoned by Hunter Biden in Delaware. The president previously said that the New York Post story about this was a bunch of garbage and that it was a Russian plant. Does he stand by that assessment?
I pointed to the Department of Justice and also to Hunter Biden's representatives. He doesn't work in the government.
The media ignored that completely, just kept on going with the disinformation line.
I mean, that's pretty egregious. I mean, would you say that there was a conspiracy between big tech, former intelligence officials, the media, the Democrats to, I don't know, let's just use the word rig an election?
Definitely, that definitely made an impact on the election.
Go ahead.
So, if I may, you asked about Hunter Biden's laptop. You also, in October 2020, dismissed it as Russian disinformation. Do you stand by that assessment?
Again, I pointed to the Department of Justice and Hunter Biden's representatives. I'm a spokesperson for the United States. He doesn't work for the United States.
Yo,
that is absolutely criminal. That is absolute. So you mislead the public on purpose. So now you revealed that.
Russia disinformation, bro.
They
you saw Trump on the like this is giving credibility.
It's
like
getting
I hate
out
to
of
say
hand.
it. I'm gonna tell you right now, Macho.
hand.
I hate to say it, but remember the debate stage. I don't know if you remember this point where Trump looked at Biden. He's like, "Oh, that's where we're going? Russian disinformation? Oh, Russia, 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 Russia!" And everybody was laughing because they were deviating everything to Russia because it's the easy enemy.
Now, with what came out today, it's even worse. All of the emails, the horrible emails of the kind of money that you were raking in, you and your family. And Joe, you were vice president when some of this was happening, and it should have never happened.
Especially now, right? And again, I'm not justifying nothing that Russia's doing right now. We had a whole episode on that. Go check that out. We're just making an entire point now on like, hey, are we going to keep shifting responsibility? Is this a game we're going to play? Is this a game we're going to play, man?
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I have not taken a penny from any foreign source ever in my life. We learned that this president paid 50 times the tax in China, has a secret bank account with China, does business in China, and in fact is talking about me taking money. I have not taken a single penny from any country whatsoever.
People don't understand the magnitude. Oh, it's just his son. Okay, what happened? Y'all remember when he said, "Oh, fire the prosecutor"? Why would he be so interested in another country's prosecutor?
We're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said, I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
Why? Because he said he was corrupt. That's what he says.
Yeah,
That's what he says. But when we read articles, when we read things, we start to see that the guy, Victor Shokin, who was the prosecutor in Ukraine.
That was the prosecutor who got fired on Joe Biden's orders, right?
Hold on. He wasn't fired just yet. He wasn't fired just yet. He was told to stop looking into Burisma, which is the natural gas company. That was like, he was on the board. Hunter Biden was on the board.
So he was
while Joe Biden was the vice president.
So he was told to not do his job.
He was told to stop investigating Burisma,
which is his job. He was investigating. He's a prosecutor. So
and you know what was
literally
told
him? Don't do
his
job.
You know what Victor Shokin reveals to the Daily Wire, says the reason why I was told not to look into it because it's not in the best interest of Hunter and Joe Biden. Think about that.
There goes Macho exposing some of the American political scams and schemes for you guys.
This is freaking ridiculous. So
if you know anything, I want to say this, Macho. If you know anything about us, we are very appreciative of America, where we come from, what's happening here. But there's something we have to call out all the time, bro. And especially me, right? The corruption when it comes to foreign policy. You hear me say this all the time.
It's pretty bad.
Remember, when it comes to foreign policy, I have a hard time. I don't care if you're on the left or right. It's hard to defend the country when it comes to foreign policy because there's no accountability. They go to war when they want, right?
That's right.
They
Tell 'em.
invade countries. They kill leaders. So what they fire, prosecute. Who knew about Ukraine? We only started knowing about Ukraine because of
Tell
the
'em.
situation that was happening
Tell 'em.
when he was running for president of a clip that went viral. Imagine this without social media.
He's
And
on
who knows what's
fire.
happening in any other countries? Again, this is where my distrust comes. I don't trust no government, including the American government, when it comes to foreign policy. I'll leave that at that.
I mean, and yo, you
Final.
can't even say it any better than that, Savory. And here's the thing: how are we supposed to have faith in our judicial system and our FBI and all those places that, despite calling this laptop credible, despite all of that, what are we doing with it? What are we doing with it? This shows not only that you're compromised, it shows that you're unethical. It shows that you're inappropriate. It shows that you're a liar. So why would I vote for you I got you red-handed?
Yeah,
See,
exactly.
it's one thing to see a politician and go suspiciously thinking that guy might be a liar. It's another thing to actually confirm that Joe Biden and family is a liar and they're corrupt.
Yeah, exactly.
And Trump said it. Trump called them corrupt, and he also called the media corrupt for not reporting it.
That's a good point to bring up, because he called Biden and the media, exact words he used. I remember this clip. I think he was coming out that plane that time when he was still president. He said Biden is a criminal, and then he points it at the media and say, "You're a criminal for not reporting it."
Strategy seems to be to call Biden a criminal. Why is that?
He is a criminal. He's a criminal. He got caught. Read his laptop, and you know who's a criminal? You're a criminal for not reporting it. You are a criminal for not reporting it. Let me tell you something. Joe Biden is a criminal, and he's been a criminal for a long time, and you're a criminal in the media for not reporting it.
Right.
And again, think to yourself.
Right.
Think to yourself, is this a criminal act? Your president, who's supposed to be serving your country? I don't care if you're Trump
He was
or
a vice
Biden.
president.
He was the vice president at the time, correct.
Yeah.
But any person, even in government, president, vice president, congressman, all that, you're in bed with another government when you are voted by the people, right? Or in Joe Biden's defense, it was more, the president, we pick the president, whatever. But you're at a high position, and what are you doing? You're working for another government, and key word here, your own interests.
Joe Biden is and always has been a corrupt politician. He always has been. And as far as I'm concerned, the Biden family is a criminal enterprise. It really is. Look at what's going on. It's a criminal. I don't know what's going on with the Democrats, a very powerful party, but it's not the Democrats. It's the Democrats plus the fake news media.
The same thing that Trump is doing.
It's got to be his own interest.
Bro, of course.
It's got to be.
This is actually evidence.
And then he turns around and says, "I've never received any money from my son. I never even knew my son was." He even tried to allude that he didn't even know when he discovered that his son was working for Burisma. Are you kidding me?
And I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee.
He said it in an interview that he was going back and forth to Ukraine about 15, 16 times. You telling me you didn't know your son was working in Ukraine? Do you think we're that stupid?
Nah, I'm
Do
not.
you think we're that stupid?
I can act them to a certain extent. I'm not that crazy. Let me ask you this, Macho, for this segment here really quick. You ready for this?
It's ridiculous.
I got a question for you.
Before you get to that question, this is why nobody in the hood cares about politics.
Y'all just don't want to believe the truth.
They rather just vote Democrat. This is why. I'll tell y'all right now.
Blame them at the end
You
of the day.
vote Democrat. Why? Because you go for the low-hanging fruit. I'll take what you give me for free. Give me. While y'all Republicans are talking about law and order, I'll take all that. Give me that. Give me that stuff that falls off that corruption tree.
Yeah.
I'll take that for free.
That's fact.
It's just terrible. It's terrible. Nobody trusts this government. Nobody in the inner city. Nobody in the hood trusts this government.
And again, Macho and I will tell you, growing up in a city where we come from, there's reason for them to feel like that, right? That's just fact. There's just reason. They might disagree. We might disagree on certain stuff with people. We all disagree, but there's reason to distrust a government that you really can't argue with people. But you know what my question is, Macho?
Yeah.
Is this an impeachable act?
Ask this gentleman a question. Don't be rude.
Right? Should this be something that Joe Biden, right? So I want to end this segment with that. Is this an impeachable act? Should he be impeached?
I would say that all politics aside, this should be looked at. This should be looked at by the Department of Justice, the DOJ should be looking at this. And I'm talking about they should be coming at him with the fullest extent. So this has to get political. Here's why. Hear me out. This has to get political because the
Interesting. All right, keep
DOJ
going.
is appointed by him right now, currently, as we speak. And because this is a past offense, this happened while he was vice president. We're talking about billions of dollars. He literally said, you're not getting the $1 billion unless you fire that prosecutor. You want to impeach a previous president for a phone call to dig up quote unquote dirt on a running candidate. You see, as a sidebar,
Man,
here,
the
Savery,
hypocrisy,
as a
the
sidebar,
hypocrisy goes deep. What you just said.
as
Wow,
a
the
sidebar,
hypocrisy.
this tells me why Joe Biden even run. Did he even run to be the president of this country? He ran to get absolute immunity because he knew that Donald Trump was going to get this kind of dirt. And if I'm at a running candidate, this would just be seen as disinformation. This is just you. This is just campaign talk. This is just mudslinging. But if he wasn't running, guess what? They would have ran criminal charges against him. You're a sitting vice president,
So you
and
think
you're holding money over a
you think he
foreign
played this
government.
game, Macho? You think
Of
he played this
course.
game and running for
Of
president? That's
course.
interesting. It could be.
Of
It could be.
course.
That's a,
You think he
that's a good
ran
take.
for president because he really want? The dude is like in his seven. You really think he wanted to run for? He's been in government office for 40 some odd years. You really think he did this because he felt he needed to save the country? Are you kidding me? He robbed from the country many times over. He's a liar. He was proven to be a liar back then when he was plagiarizing.
He's
He
on
is a
fire,
liar
ladies
right
and
now.
gentlemen.
He's a liar right now.
Hey,
And this is the thing that drives me crazy. I got a question for you. Who do you think now? This is the epitome of what I've been saying on TikTok, what I've been saying on all our other episodes. This is the epitome. When we see Donald Trump and Joe Biden on the debate stage, who has more power? People keep saying the business, the corporations have more power. Who has more power in this country, Savery?
Oh, straight up. I'll tell you my take on that. Straight up, 100%. I always tell people, don't be fooled. No matter how big a corporation gets, it only has extreme, uncontrollable power when it has help from the government. I'll put it like that for people, right? The reason we talk about Amazon and these bigger companies is because they're in cahoots with the government. Even a company as big as Amazon, if you let it run free, right, you will have other, well, you have the argument of they build a good business, but then they also might be, paying people less, whatever. You have many arguments later. It's $1 billion business. But the point is right here, Macho, is ultimate power, right? I can get a lot of power through a corporation. Me and you can build a corporation that's huge. But if you want uncontrollable power, you need government help, my brother. That's facts. You need government help.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And that's why I said that the government has more power than the corporations. When they say, well, they're bailing them out because it's the government's fault. That's why they need the bailout. It's the government's fault. Because when it comes down to the nitty gritty, that corporation could sue the government for money. So they have to bail them out. It's better to bail them out than to go through litigation. They're not going to do that because that's a political, that looks bad. That looks bad on a sitting president. It looks bad on politicians. So let's bail them out, keep them quiet. At the end of the day, if you have legislative power, if you have control over the media like Joe Biden does, like Obama does, like even Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer's and company.
Yes, sir.
If when you have the power of the media and you have the ear, you can get to them first. I don't care how rich you are in this country. Politicians have the most power in this country, period. So when
Thank you.
people literally
Point blank,
say,
period.
well,
Thank you.
it's the corporations, it's capitalism. You really worried about capitalism? You really worried about the corporations? You should be worried about the person that you're voting for who's speaking on behalf of you. Because when you go to bed, they're writing up bills that are 2,000 pages long that you're not going to read. And you don't even know what's in there. Are you really serious? Check this out, Savery. Speaking about things that are in bills, according to the Hindustan Times, right? This is a foreign news outlet, okay? Out in India, I believe. Biden administration seeks to send 32.5 billion more. They use the word more in Ukraine and COVID-19 aid. President Joe Biden's administration is seeking $32.5 billion in additional funding from Congress to bolster the U.S. COVID-19 response and help Ukraine, the White House said on Thursday, reports news agency Reuters. And to add insult to injury, recently, on top of the $32 billion, they sent another additional, I think it was about 16 or 15 they just approved. The Ukraine aid included, this is the aid expenses, $6.5 billion for the U.S. cost of sending troops and weapons to Eastern Europe and equipping allied forces there in response to Russian President Vladimir Putin's invasion and repeated bellicose threats. I think it's bellicose. I don't know. I can't. The pronunciation is leaving me right now. There was another $6.8 billion to care for refugees and provide economic aid to allies, and more to help federal agencies enforce economic sanctions against Russia and protect against cyber threats at home. So we're sending all these billions of dollars
interesting
to Ukraine. So not only are you compromised earlier, you're still sending money over there. I can't help but notice, where's this money really going?
That's the big questions to ask. By the way, to be fair, Macho knows this about me. I ask that question with every bill we pass in America. Where the heck is the money going?
Unbelievable.
How are we here? So now even more reason to ask this. And it's really crazy. No accountability. Again, no accountability. And Macho, talking about no accountability, I want to ask you a question. Did you hear the update of Jussie Smollet?
Oh my God, dude.
Lord, please tell me you heard
I
this.
lost my head. I almost lost my head.
Oh, Lord.
I almost lost my head. Talk about
going on?
real, and I mean real privilege. You want to say that the cards are stacked against minorities in this country.
There you go, guys.
You want to say the cards are stacked against the minorities in this country. Check this out. There's a headline here that I want to read. Jussie Smollett was denied justice because Chicago police mishandled the case, actor's family says. And it goes on to read, and it says this, Savery, check this out. Jussie Smollett was released from prison or jail on Wednesday night after an appellate court ruled the actor should be freed pending the appeal of his conviction for lying to Chicago police about what the investigation determined was an elaborate hoax.
This is
the actor has maintained his innocence throughout the case. He is a free man right now.
This is unbelievable. By the way, this is unbelievable to me. By the way, his attorney said, all right, just give you a quick update here, Macho. You ready for this?
Yeah.
For 6 days, supposedly, Jussie Smollett drank nothing but ice cold water. He didn't eat for 6 days. I'm just saying, if you want to update,
Was it distilled or purified water? Like what kind of water? Was he drinking like fountain water?
They're calling my man the new Gandhi. I don't know. Nothing but ice cold water. And his attorney alluded, check this out. You're going to love this one. You're going to love this one, Macho. I guarantee you're going to love this one. He said it might be because of the accusation of two white men. Oh, here we go again. We can never escape this combo. We can't escape this combo.
At the end of the day, anybody who has on a lower income bracket in this country wouldn't have this kind of favoritism. If you don't have the money for an attorney, you're not going to get the proper representation in court. We're talking about somebody who is solely dedicated to your case. Somebody who is going to look into your case, look at the nooks and crannies, file motions appropriately. I mean, do it in
not just a state appointed kind of situation, just like a dedicated state where you can pay this person a salary.
You have them on a retainer. You have them on a retainer. You got money, all that stuff.
We see this with OJ, for example. OJ's a good, people don't like to talk about, OJ's a good example. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever you think about him, but look at that.
Got walked. He walked. Ray Lewis, who walked on a murder charge. You got Lil Durk in Chicago, walked on a double homicide. Him and King Von walked on a homicide. If you got money, these guys are rappers. These guys are artists. These guys are athletes.
As well, I heard,
the baby had a clear case. It was a self-defense case.
Yeah. True.
So I wouldn't even equate Baby to that because Baby didn't do anything suspicious.
But everything is race, so let's mention these people, even if it wasn't about race. Is like the reason I mention these people is because to show people that the system with the Baby, right? Because if it was about race, let's say we have Kyle Rittenhouse in one side, and then we got the Baby. So if it's about race, then the Baby shouldn't be freed either because his self-defense would be less considered, right? But again, he went off of self-defense just like Kyle Rittenhouse did, right? So that's why I mention it, right? So it's like you see, we gotta even it out to show people like, hey, here we are today. We covered an array of things, man. Thank you for joining us. We covered from Fauci, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. We went into Ukraine, Hunter Biden laptop. If you stick with us to the end, we want to thank you so much. Cheers. Drinks to the nobody. Make sure that you join us Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Cheers, y'all. Take care.